Well, several times over the past year, we've had Dana Miller from Sycamore Village here talking about Alzheimer's. Dana, good to have you back once again.
Thank you, Norm.
The thing we haven't talked about, and I'm not sure that there's an easy way to talk about it, is when does it get to be the right time to make that decision to say, okay, it's time for this loved one to move into this new environment? How do you approach that?
When a primary caregiver is caring for a loved one in their own
Yeah,
home,
husband, wife, whatever the case might be, yeah.
they should start to consider a retirement community when there are some things and concerns such as safety risks.
Safety risks. You mean in the home?
In the home. So for example, if there are any type of appliances, you know, stoves, gas stoves, electric stoves, somebody with Alzheimer's may not remember what that knob to turn on a stove is for.
Yeah, like with a gas stove, if the burner doesn't go on and the gas is turned on,
right,
that could be a problem, yeah.
Stairs are another huge concern for somebody that is caring for a loved one in the home.
Okay.
Just going up and down the stairs can be a huge challenge for any of the elderly. Also somebody with Alzheimer's can also forget, you know, just the steps of going up or down stairs.
You know, that sounds like such a simple, basic thing, but so many little basic things are what change when you get into this particular problem.
They are.
One of the questions I think about when I think about someone being in a home, in an environment that they're comfortable with, is the question of isolation. Does that occur?
That happens all the time. That's one of the biggest things we hear at Sycamore Village when somebody comes to tour and bring their loved one in is that they're concerned about their loved one because they have nobody to talk to. They are in their own little world and they're happy in their world that they're in at the time, but they do have isolation issues such as depression. So when somebody moves into Sycamore Village, for example, we offer different types of apartments. Some are companion rooms where they could have a roommate. Oftentimes somebody with Alzheimer's does better with somebody in the room with them that they can communicate with.
Okay.
And
some kind of a companion, a friend, something,
sure.
they can make.
A lot of times it's, you know, just a husband and wife at home. You know, the wife's possibly been a homemaker all of her life. She just knows when it's time to cue the husband, for example, when to go eat or when to take a bath, and there's no type of activities involved in those. There's no types of stimulation.
Ah, okay. Well, you mentioned time to eat, and I'm wondering about in the home with all the stress that's going on there. Is nutrition sometimes an issue?
Nutrition is huge.
Is it really?
In a couple different factors. Meal times need to have structure to them. They need to be about the same time every day.
You mean for the benefit of the person who has Alzheimer's? Is that
correct.
Oh.
Those with Alzheimer's do better with structure. Regular meal times at Sycamore Village, we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner for those with Alzheimer's about the same time every day.
It's not one of those things you want to eat whenever you get hungry, right?
No, and a lot of times those with Alzheimer's do forget if they have eaten or if they haven't eaten.
Right.
So again, that's where the structure comes into play.
Do you find that patients with Alzheimer's frequently have one or more medications that they have to deal with?
Usually there are several that they have to take. Medication management is a huge issue that another primary caregiver should consider. Sometimes somebody with Alzheimer's may actually not take the medicine that they're given. At Sycamore Village, right, we have a nurse on staff from 7 in the morning until 10 at night, and they actually administer the medication. So medication management is huge.
With that medication, you're having a nurse there, I'm thinking the nurse may be more careful about watching the patient actually take the pill as opposed to the wife who gives the pills, here, take this, and then goes about his or her other jobs.
Right.
You know? One of the things that I have, I think, been aware of, and I think many people are, with people who have Alzheimer's, is this, they have this feeling of being lost, unaware of their surroundings. Does that affect their ability to stay in a home?
It does. That's another huge signal for a caregiver if they're caring for somebody at home to look for. If somebody is having more disruptive behaviors at home than they had been in the past, that could be to the one with Alzheimer's due to feeling lost or unsafe. A lot of times their world kind of closes in on them, so again, that plays part in the isolation. They may not want to come out of their room, or they may just want to stay in certain areas.
Because they're uncomfortable, because of this feeling of being lost, are unfamiliar. Even though they're in familiar surroundings, it becomes unfamiliar. Does that happen?
Right, right. They forget, a family room is where do you go to watch TV, for example.
Oh. Even some simple things like which way to the kitchen, which way to the bathroom.
Right.
Those things could be issues, big issues, I would expect.
It is, and they do try to figure those things out for themselves, but when they're trying to figure those things out for themselves, a lot of times that becomes an elopement risk also for the family rent.
Elopement risk? Wait a minute, you mean they want to run away and get married? No, that's not what you meant.
When a loved one tries to leave their home because they're trying to figure out how to get to the restroom, for example. They don't know that the front door is not the way to the restroom.
So they go out and then they're really lost.
They go out and they're really lost, and the biggest thing we hear a lot of times at Sycamore Village is, oh, mom just walks down to the neighbor's house. Well,
right.
The neighbor brings her back. Well, eventually she may not realize that the boundaries are just the neighbor's house. What if they live along a busy highway? What if they live on a farm where there's a lake or a pond?
Yeah, I think it's been more than once we've heard stories about elderly people with Alzheimer's perhaps who have wandered away, and they're found miles and miles away. They just kept walking, and they look normal as they walk along the street, so nobody gives them a second thought.
Wandering is a very big part of Alzheimer's. So,
the biggest problem that I see, though, is as a family member, when you have someone in your home whom you love, and it's time for you to decide to put them in a retirement home, feeling guilty about that. Isn't that an issue?
You can feel very guilty. That's the biggest thing. Another large thing we have to overcome at Sycamore Village is dealing with the families, because they also feel lost and confused. They don't know which direction to turn. They're very overwhelmed. So that's another benefit to moving somebody into a quality residence, is that the resident can have a better quality of life for a longer period of time, but also the families have somewhere to turn for education and guidance.
And a little respite, too.
Yes, we offer respite care as well. So if a family member needs a break, for example, they can come to Sycamore Village for respite care, which is a short-term stay. A lot of families use us on a regular basis, for example, for vacations, if they care for a loved one.
Yeah, I didn't realize you could do that on the short term.
Sure.
Well, that's great. That's good information, good clues, I think, for people when they're thinking about or feeling they're getting close to the time when their loved one needs that care. Dana, thanks very much. Enjoyed the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you, Norm.
Our guest in this segment of the program from Sycamore Village, Dana Miller.